How are you? All good?
Hello, awesome.
Hello.
Good.
Hello.
So today we are discussing one more topic about the AI tools, but we have one special guest. So I want to give a shout out to Ugo from Nigeria right here. Hello, Ugo.
Yeah,
Is it going well for you? All good?
great to be here, as always, as always.
Cool. Yeah, I really introduced you already with the team, but I want to do it again live because you've been one of the guy that has been connecting the dots super early in the Transformers. When the Transformers came up like 6 years ago, you were already looking up at all those things, and I know that you're coming from the business side like I do. I mean, you're very conscious about that impact on business, and you're working on that every day. So I'm glad to have you here. Maybe you can say a few lines on what you're up to, what you're working on. Very curious to hear more about your update.
Okay, cool. All right, so what am I working on these days? Yeah, there's this. Would I call it a passion project or something? So I've always had this desire to ensure that everyone can make sense of financial reports, irrespective of whatever background the person comes from, whether they are financially literate or not. I just believe that you should be able to pick up a 10K report and be able to make sense of it without having to go through a CPA course or something. So the whole idea behind LLMs basically for me is about democratization. And democratization means that we are trying to use AI to empower people who naturally do not have some abilities before. We're trying to use that to make them able to do stuff. For example, though we are not trying to replace doctors and radiographers, we try to use computer vision models to say, hey, anybody that has, once we build a deep learning model, a computer vision model, anybody that has pictures of an X-ray can just put it, and the model is going to say, okay, this is a benign tumor, or this is a malignant tumor, or something like that. So it's not trying to take away the number of years radiographers train for, but it's just trying to increase the number of, if you allow me use that word, citizen radiographers that we have. That's basically the whole idea behind AI. So that's what we're working on right now. We're trying to work on something that helps you make sense of any organizations, not just the 10K, but any financial report basically that you pick, whether it's an integrated report or just an abridged financial statements. So you just plug it into an LLM, sorry, using a retrieval augmented generation. That's the RAG.
Yeah.
That's causing a lot of hype these days.
Yeah.
And once you plug that in, you'll be fine. You're free to ask your questions. So that's what we're working on right now. Yeah.
Very
So
cool.
that's it these days. Yeah.
Very cool. It's definitely, so I relate a lot with that. Obviously, me also coming from finance and having worked my butt off all those questions that CEO, CFO were having and throwing to us. So
Right.
I see it in another way, which is like I see you're doing it from the ground up. Like anyone can access it, but also those people at the top who have financial literacy, who understand everything about the business, they also need to have some quick insights on the business. And I also remember like back in the day where Excel, yeah, no, I was working Excel VBA and everything. And the real interesting stuff is that my slides didn't really matter. What they wanted is a number sometimes, just a number, just
Right.
this is the
Right.
number, text, send, that's it. You see, so that's how crazy the world is. Like you make those analysts create a lot of slides, a lot of visuals, a lot of things. And at the end of the day, what do you have? Like, please, I'm just interested with this number. And what's
Yeah.
the variation? Like, how do we increase? And not month over month, week over week, quarter after quarter, just versus last year, versus last week. Simple.
Yeah.
And so what I see, and I don't know about you, is like there is like a huge fuss about everything. There's a lot of noise, but the basics, week over week analysis of a performance, like how my cash is evolving with week over week. How am I going to do at the end of the month?
Right.
This is not covered properly. Like, we don't do the basics. And I think this is also the approach that we have in NAS. I didn't show you everything yet on what we're doing, but like we have created this like ChatGPT clone essentially, where you get to have like all the list of multiple models inside. I can actually show it to you right now. It's kind of, why not? And the idea is really to so you have this search where you have different like templates. You remember our notebook templates?
Yeah.
They are here now. It's what's running. You see the GitHub URL here, and so the idea is to do two things. Like, it's to do have the ability to have multiple models running in. So you do like list of models, and have the ability to basically basic stuff like star a chat. Like, if you want to star a chat and have it topping it, that's simple. But also have the AI avatar. We talked about it yesterday during our talk about like the prompting, and we shared how we have been building this this prompt, where, as you can see here, you have like a prompt that's saying like you're going to behave like an AI avatar. Here are your questions, answers, and all the things that to have like an extended kind of custom instruction of ChatGPT, but much more personal. So what you get out of it is, and it's the beta version yet, but we have crafted 15 very carefully picked questions. So it's not overloading your context window, but it's still having a much better output than what you currently have with the custom instruction. And so that's one thing, so that's and we call that part, which is mostly community driven, we call it AYA for AI avatar. That's one thing. And the other part, which is the business side, we call it ABI for ABI, Artificial Business Intelligence. That's where we are heading for the Enterprise Edition. And this Enterprise Edition is going to be like living here on the right side, where you get content, growth, sales, operation, finance. And those are generating like basic assistants, which are right now not using RAG. You mentioned RAG, but RAG is kind of an extended version of just inserting information into the chat. But as you can see here, I'm connected to my Stripe account, and I can see the Stripe payments of a month. It's fake data. It's not actually, I'm actually connected with it. But what we do is we just have a prompt that say, act as a financial agent that does blah, blah, blah. You can have access to this link. You can have access to this data. And by doing so, you constrain the AI to a certain context. So you reduce also the number of hallucination, and you don't use the knowledge of the LLM to like throw information. You just say, this is the info. I want you to basically do phrases that make sense, and draw relationship and connections together with the stuff. So what we are pitching and working on right now to many different entities, like interestingly, a lot of solopreneurs are like tech entrepreneurs right now that are pushing content on LinkedIn. They are very interested in connecting all the dots together. Like, when they create content, how do they extract interaction? This is the growth assistant. How do they have like a certain messaging for the sales? This is the sales assistant. How do they have like the operation figured out, like all my tasks organized, all my finance organized, all my open data intelligence organized, and everything in a kind of nicely packaged way. So it can bring the whole knowledge together. And the missing link here is the data model. We don't talk enough about the data model. If you organize the data in a certain way, hello to Joe Reese and data engineering best practices, you need to be
Right.
hardcore on the way you organize your data, because then it's the only way that you can connect the content, the growth, the sales, and everything together. You just have to have a very strict data model so it can know, basically we figured out two things: entity and scenario, which means time and space. If you make the LLM understand in the data model time, space, and how they are connected together, you can have like meaningful conversation like, what happened yesterday or what happened last week? And it can say to you, oh, last week you created 2 posts, it generated 1 new content, 2 new like interaction, 1 guy who actually signed up to your website, he paid already, and this is in your bank account. And by the way, he's coming from Nigeria, and in Nigeria today there is a like an event that you may want to give him a shot about, like this like celebration or whatever. That's the kind of storyline that you can have if you connect all your different like side of your business together. So we are really excited about it, because we are building it as we share about it right now, and it's super interesting.
Awesome. NASA's grown like beyond what it was when we first met and when you started it.
Yeah, long road, but now we are like, it was the beginning. We were also so curious about the tools, and so to bridge the gap with the current conversation, all those different things like content, blah blah blah, we have the specific version of the tool everywhere. Like there is a specific AI tool for content generation. Every like tool that you have now, like AI content generation tool, you have this many things: Add Creative, Learn, SEMrush. They're all integrating AI into their workflows. If you think about marketing AI tool, then you have another bunch of stuff. And I was just trying to look at this list of tools and see how it evolved from 139 tools to like 1,400 tools right now. But they are very specific. So the introduction that I wanted to make, I didn't want to do any shameless plug, by the way, today, but I was excited to show you what we were working on. But the thing is, like, the increase of tools number is daunting. I mean, for me, I have kind of like trouble like focusing. I mean, I want to focus on only one thing. I don't like to switch tabs. I don't like to have multiple screens. I'm confused when I have too much stuff going on in my life. I can only manage so much. So like this thing is crazy. Like, how, if you're not inside the AI ecosystem, can you understand? Like, and probably like, I want to shut up right now and just listen to you guys. Like, how have you like experienced that? Like the number of tools and the number of models. We can also talk about models. Maybe like Bazira, you want to say, or Lani, you want to share? I mean, I don't know. Like, let's chat about it for a while. How do you feel about all this going on?
I can go, and I would just say that I was lost. I was so lost that I didn't even want to try, because it was too many, and I didn't know in which end to start. It was like, what do I use for what, and what do I like what, where should I put them in, and what should I do with them? And Jeremy helped me with that, because Jeremy said, okay, first of all, think about the workflows. What are you doing? Where do you need them, and what do you need them to do for you? And I think that was a very good like thought to take with you when you go out there to try to find a tool that works for you, because like what am I doing? Like, constrain the workflows out of the whole day and try to see, okay, where do I need efficiency and where do I need help? And that was like the main thing for me. And now I'm introduced to NAS and I can do everything in one place. So for me, it's very easy to use NAS, because NAS for me is like, I can have the different workflows in the same place. So for me, it's very easy, but that was the main problem I had, and why I didn't even want to go to the AI tool thing or use AI. It was too many. It was like, it's too many to even know where to start, and everything feels so complicated. So No, I do agree that it all comes down to workflows and all comes down to like understanding what workflows you have and where you can like fit in a tool.
Exactly. I think because it's only a small percentage that is AI is providing down the line. Like your workflow is that big and AI is that big. But the AI brings like the 5% of the AI brings the 100% of the uplifting moment where you're like, yeah, this works. So it's kind of confusing, right? I don't know if you have any thoughts about that, guys.
Yeah, and I mean, I have similar experience with Astera as well. Like, I mean, I'm aware of the power of the AI and definitely want to use it, but like for every product I want to actually have to have a BI, like you do a little Google search and then you see like a tons of different tools out there. And then you just gotta come down to actually understand it and like how is that actually able to help you, and like each of every of it have different way to work. So it's for me, it's also like overloaded of information when it comes to, you know, all kind of tools. And
Yeah.
basically, yeah, it comes down to the workflow, but then it's also come down to what works best for your workflow. And like you cannot really decide on it and let you try it all. And like who have all that time?
Yeah. Because if we
So
sum it up, there's a few things the tools can do. Like AI and LLMs summarizing, good. Writing or expanding writing, good. Basically, now we have images, processing and stuff, also good. But it's like for me, like a few tools that I've been starting using. Grammarly for autocorrection, but Grammarly is going down right now because so much stuff is going on with AI, and so like the autocorrector. The I was using copy.ai. Copy.ai also a really good tool to help you like crafting copy from an idea. This also, I don't know, it's going down now because like everybody's going to ChatGPT. The interesting stuff that I see is, for example, for video, we were looking, Bazira, at Opus Clip. Also, Opus Clip is good because you bring a video, it's breaking down, making like short videos and stuff. This is, I think, quite powerful. And the image part of things is really interesting. But then you still have to post and publish. So those, we see that in Opus Clip, for example, they kind of help you schedule to multiple places. So they already are into this workflow integration. They want to like grasp the workflow full end to end. And until we have like the full end-to-end covered somehow, it's hard to adopt because you still need to switch from tool to tool. So yeah, how to choose your work, like basically if we could like stop the meeting there, like to answer the question, what AI tool should I use? I would say like, just look at your workflows, like, and figure out what tools can fit in your workflows, because it's all about what you do and not about what is in the market. Max, you have a thought, or Hugo, you have a thought on this?
Well, yeah. So one thing I discovered right now is that OpenAI is trying to build ChatGPT like an everything app, like a one-stop AI shop, so that you don't have to leave the GPT-4 or whatever API you're using, especially if you're building. And it has its implications because technically right now, if I want to build something and I could pass an API request to a GPT-4V, which is, yeah, not just GPT-4, text-based, and then I can have the best of both worlds, like using the multimodal API. And so what I say is we are gradually getting to the point where the barriers between this and this, I'm trying to get the right word. I don't want to use the word fractionalization of service, because basically what I see is OpenAI and a couple of other free open source guys are also trying to, I think the right word would be disintermediation, if I get that concept correct, because yeah, what's exactly going to happen is that very soon you'll be able to make one, use the same API call to make a request, a multimodal request that can either give you a response using Whisper or Llama V or GPT-4V or any of these multimodal models. I think it's called Lava. That's Llama's Lava.
Yeah.
That's the multimodal. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's where we're heading to, where you really would have all your workflow just in one place. And for me, it's exciting and it's at the same time scary because you really cannot sleep. Before Code Interpreter, we started working on this. It's called Finsightful. Before Code Interpreter came, and as soon as Code Interpreter came, we're like, okay, let's speed this thing up before before you knew it. Then there was the other open source models started catching up, and then before you knew it, it became a whole gamut of things. So now we said, okay, you know what? Let's slow down a bit, and let's understand, because while we were still working on this, these guys at Llama Index, they released something close to what we're working on. It's called Sec Insights. Now, is there really any difference between Sec Insights and what we're working on? Not really. The only difference is that Sec Insights is like, yeah, it reads just 10 keys. And we don't want to stop at reading 10 keys. So they are working on an enhancement on it right now, and we are trying to beat the clock. But it seems like with AI, you can't beat the clock, you know.
No.
So you just, before you wake up in the morning, something has come up, and then, you know, at the point where I decided, you know what, let's just slow down this project and commit engineering hours to some other projects, because it really does not make it very fun whenever you're trying to play catch up, you know.
Yeah.
Especially when the people you're trying to catch up with do not they operate at a higher level than you, like they have higher AT purpose and all of that. So yeah, that's it.
Mhm.
That's
I get your point.
Yeah, that's a very interesting topic. I think like to be able to compete, what you actually need is not like you need your project at the technical level to be ready to shift and switch to other technologies. So like if someone is doing one thing like way better than you, then like you need to be able to switch and just maybe use what they are doing or what multiple like other projects are doing to add more value out of the what they are doing now, to try to not compete but add more value on top and add your vision, because like the project won't ever, like even if they are faster, like their direction they won't go. So maybe you want to leverage them now, so you can focus on another thing that brings like even more features. And like
Yeah.
right now, like I just want like to talk, like right now we are using something called hexagonal architecture. So it's really technical. I won't talk too much, but it's really allowing us to like switch technologies. So at first, like we were like using Llama 2 on a Hugging Face, and now we use to AWS Bedrock because it was like easier for us. And it was just a matter of changing a file, not the whole like oh, everything is working. So now it's very easy for us to plug new stuff, like add new OpenAI models, add new like models providers, etc. So we can adapt very quickly to changes.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we do the same. So what you do at the technical level, that's what we work on with Flow on the data side. Because eventually what this, six engines are doing is like they are normalizing the core model, the core data model, so that it can welcome any kind of inputs. So that's like, again, not willing to deep dive too much on the technical side, is like, but if there is tools to consider, it's the tools that have an API first, because if you want to combine all of that in your workflow, you need to. Like Mid-Journey. We integrated Mid-Journey in the NAS chat, but it was like a hell of a thing. Like we had to rely on like some dark magic to be able to get this running inside the chat. So the thing is, like, yeah, use an API, make sure the tool has an API, because eventually you want to create a workflow. And the things like Zapier and make.com and those stuff are really good at like connecting different part of your tool system into one, like streamlined ecosystem. So I also wanted to talk about that. Basically, in the AI landscape, you have three kinds of things. You have AI models bringing like foundation, like capabilities. You have like specialized tools, and you have a tool that makes the glue. This is what you need to think of. Like, what foundation model that I use, to what specific use case, to connect it to what other part of my work. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But like to go back to what Annie said, like it's just right now it's just very complex to know like what are the strengths of a specific AI model. And even though I know my workflow, like which one should I pick so it will like fit my need the best? So that's a very complex
We didn't talk about
things
the
right
cost
now.
as well.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
of course. And like before you actually can pick the right ones, you gotta spend actually quite an amount of time and effort to learning every of the tools that you actually can able to pick. And you know, it actually like for multiple people, AI in general is already pretty complex. And right now we have that much of information that we need to learn before we can actually use it. It's like a very daunting task for most of the people. I mean, I might say.
Yeah, exactly. You have that, and then when you have to come into the chat and ask a question and you don't know the question, you're like, okay, so now what should I do? Like you have a blank slate and you're like, oh, what should I ask this thing to do? And so yeah, there's a lot of consideration to take in when you think about it. But I think like, because already we have been like going around like the tools that we value right now are really like around those kind of things where it helps you create text more easily. So create content. So ChatGPT, obviously what we are building right now we use, but the tool that helps you craft content, but it needs to be more like you. So that's what we're trying to fix with the AI avatar stuff. Like, how does it really feel like you? You need to answer a bunch of questions, make sure that it like fits your need. Then going down to like Excel analysis, we talked about that with you ago. So thank you about like data analysis, how data analysis is gonna be powered by those code interpreter kind of stuff, data analysis kind of stuff, but it doesn't remove the need from good data engineering and good like data model, because that's ultimately what you need to do. It's connecting down the line to what you say, Max, the hexagonal architecture, and how do you make sure that even though you might use like code interpreter today or another thing, you might want to unplug and change it tomorrow, but it works for data and it also works for the system that where the data lives. So yeah, Paolo was commenting, focus on the problem you want to solve, not the tools available.
Yeah, that's very true. Like
that's
you need to
hard.
extract the concepts. Yeah, you need to extract the concepts out of like the problem you want to fix. And then you conceptualize everything. And now like the tooling is just a matter of like shaping the data and the way you interact with the tool. So you can send data to it and then get data back. And now you're not dependent on the tool anymore because like you just have like conceptualize everything. So you're actually like abstracting the complexity, which is something very important.
Yeah. maybe a bit philosophical for the end of this show. I think abstraction of complexity is what makes beauty in this world. Like, you see how complex
That's it.
a tree is, how complex a flower is, but then it's so simple when you look at it because it's abstracted. The complexity is abstracted. So that's where it's exciting. I don't know. I'm getting philosophical today. So
I think to get into that point is already you actually think about it in the market, like you actually can get to that point of abstracting complexity out of the AI thing. You're actually already ahead of a lot of people. And I think that's why you should invest in more time and actually learn how to take the best advantage of these things. Because like the thing I just mentioned, other people probably think AI already complicated, and then when they start trying to use it, they have like a ton of option, and they probably just never have a time, never have a chance to try. But like if you are the one who actually have the time, can put the effort and actually able to do, to go through the process like we were going together right now, you are ahead of a lot of people already.
yeah,
And that's worth a lot. That's
yes,
worth it all.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Invest time, not too much. Don't get overwhelmed, but invest some time every single day, looking and understanding how this landscape is moving. That's very true.
Yeah.
I hope by
Yeah, absolutely.
the humble way of us thinking about those series of podcasts is like opening up those people ideas, like even us, it's like really rich what we've been doing. I'm really enjoying the conversation that we have on those shows. And yeah, for anyone listening, this is, I think, the key. Like, invest a little bit of time, not too much, don't get overwhelmed, think about the workflow, and think about how can you unplug tools from your workflow, because your workflow will stay, the tool will not, it will probably change.
I think one of the things that most of these organizations are trying to do right now, especially providers like Microsoft, are creating like Microsoft likes to call it citizen developers. And the reason is simple, because as AI continues to grow, the use cases continue to grow, and then it becomes almost impossible for one organization to provide all the tools that would solve everybody's problems. So, for example, yeah, I'm not, I don't think that OpenAI is going to go into medical imaging and all of that tomorrow, and stuff like that. So it just means that anybody who wants to solve problems with AI really now has to start first of all thinking about how to get hands-on, really, because sometimes the problem you want to deal with using AI might not be a very profitable problem for an organization to work on. So we see a lot of these tools coming up to empower citizen developers. That was how Streamlit started, and then there's Chainlit now, and then there are a couple of other tools. Samuel Colvin, that's the creator of Pydantic, released one the other time. I think he called
Yeah.
it Fast UI. I'm still trying to wrap my hand around it, to just understand a couple of things about it. So you see these tools coming up every day, trying to reduce the barrier to entry for anybody who wants to build something using AI. So what I learn every day is I try to first understand what's available, because I mean, if you don't research, every day I try to spend, I have carved out a portion of Twitter for myself. I like to call it tech Twitter. Um, I try to remove every influence from politics and all of that. I don't do a lot of those on Twitter. I don't follow a lot of political people and all of that. So then this new Twitter community feature, I try to join as many communities as I can. Why? Because I want to saturate my feed with new things, what's happening at the moment. So what it helps me do is probably sometimes when I'm done with work, before I sleep, or sometimes maybe once I wake up, I just run through that within like 30 minutes, just a very fast scroll to see, okay, so what's happening today, because I'm trying to get what's the new tool being released? What's the new concept? You know, that's on board right now, because what's happening is that there is a lot of convergence between the citizen user and the developer. So right now the convergence is getting to
Yeah.
like perfection, where almost everybody, can just wake up, crank up. Before it used to be very difficult setting up your coding environment. But as I'm talking to you now, there is some stuff I'm working on, and there is this project that Google just released. It's called Project IDX. I don't know if you've seen it. It's
No.
an amazing project. Yeah. So it saves you the stress of having to build your own virtual environment and manage your environment and all of that. And then you can use it for whatever Flask, Django, Flutter, Android, and all of that all in one. So you don't need to have a very powerful machine. So it's just like Collab or GitHub code spaces
Oh,
for your
you.
heavy projects, right? So I'm still working on, yeah, I'm still just, sorry, I'm testing it out, getting familiar with it, but it already looks like a game changer. So with that, you don't need to have a very big machine. You don't need to have serious investment in GPUs and all of that. And then with stuff like that, the barriers to entry, because sometimes setup is a barrier to entry, starts crashing. And then, when you have an LLM already built inside of it, so that when you're stuck doing your coding, you can just ask the LLM a question and then it will guide you.
Oh, I
Before you
see.
know it, yeah. So before you know it, the you wouldn't need to be a developer to be able to use that platform. And then you can come up with some fantastic solutions and packages in a Flutter or Android app. And yeah, for maybe with the way things are going in 2 days, the person who is totally new to coding can just be able to build whatever it is they want to build, you know,
Learn
step by
coding
step.
as
That
he
yeah,
builds
there
his
there are
idea.
guardrails, that will help you achieve what it is you want to achieve. So they're interesting times. And that's one of the reasons why one of the things I try to do every time is to catch up on what is the latest tool being released, um, so that I know where the world is heading to. Because I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's scary sometimes, because you wake up and then you start thinking, okay, so what's gonna happen to all of us devs,
I see your point, but on my side, I feel like what at least I can handle is building some, like, literally barriers for myself, like safeguards. Like, how do I build the safeguard? Is by building my AI kind of avatar, where it can skim through all this information, digital realm, whatever is going on, and give me the essence of what I should know, because he knows me. So I'm kind of obsessed on my side, and this is translating into our work. But I kind of feel like whatever scariest thing is going on in the digital realm, I still have my son, 2 years old, my wife, and my like things to do in the real life. So whatever this game is doing and going to, I don't really care. At the end of the day, that's not me. That's just this place, this digital virtual world where things are happening, and eventually money is coming to pay the bills in the real world. So that's really like how I see it. I feel it's scary as well, but what we can handle, what we can have a hand on to, let's try to figure out like how do we build safe like yeah, safeguards, if it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
It is. But well, I know people like Ian LeCun and Francois have
Yeah.
always said that there will always be development work. Um, the only thing I see is there might be a lot of um, yeah, that word barrier to entry just keeps coming up, because
Yeah.
once that we see it in finance. So for example, when I started my career in finance many years ago, banking was in this part of the world where I am in Nigeria, banking was an exclusive preserve of people who have a financial background. Because I mean, what are you coming to do here? if you don't know finance or if you don't know even the basics of accounting and all of that.
Mhm.
So, but gradually as tech began to creep in, we began to see more and more people who do not have a background in finance or accounting come in. And the last time I helped a bank recruit, I just took a start of, so this role is a finance role. It looks like a finance position, you know, but then I just did a quick start. And then I found that 96% of the people we recruited for the job did not have any financial background. Yeah. So it means that tech has finally removed the barrier to entry such that anybody who read whatever it is in school and you just know how to use a computer can just sit down and then take up the task.
And learn.
So and learn, yeah. So that's because there are guardrails, in the system that would not let you do the wrong thing. So that's what we discovered is happening in the financial world, and it's gradually creeping into tech because of AI. So we will see that happen a lot over the period as these tools continue to get advanced. One of the things that still has not that hasn't, which is one of the reasons why, like I said on LinkedIn the other day, that I'm very bullish when it comes to RAG, that's retrieval augmented generation, because naturally LLMs have needs, right? So because of this hallucination, you really cannot trust an LLM to give you financial advice yet. But when we provide context to these LLMs using RAG, then it helps increase, in quotes, the trustworthiness of the
Yeah.
response we get, but it doesn't totally remove the hallucination. So maybe, just maybe, one of the next phases of our work would be how to enhance the correctness, if you allow me to use that, or truthfulness of the results that these models give out when you
I
use
agree.
them. Yeah, that's what we
Though
would have
one
to
thing
start looking at. Yeah.
that I mentioned quickly, but for us, like the approach has been not RAG is we're gonna come to this, but for us it was like, oh, can I just feed a small data set? And as you fit it, the data set into the context window, it's a bunch of lines, a bunch of columns, it fits the context window. Then you kind of have almost no hallucination because it's already constrained, and you say to the prompt, like, use only that data to answer to me. And so if you bring a small data set, it's good. So what I see is, like, obviously there is a need for extended queries with much greater data, but the basics, the week over week performance, we can feed them already inside an LLM and have accurate answers. So we are really like always like eager to eat more data and to query like year over year versus last year versus last month, whatever. But the basics of week over week analysis can be fed into a small context window and can bring a certain level of accuracy already. And that's I think that's the idea also. What we promote is the lean data approach. I really believe in this. Like, we accumulate too much data. We need to come back to like the essence, the small data set that actually help us understand if we are growing as a person in different metrics.
Yeah, that works. But the only reason why I tend to favor RAG is sometimes you cannot help but have a very huge context.
Of course, I
that
know.
you-
I advocate for that, but I know it's kind of crazy. You obviously need more. But if you
Definitely.
make the lean efforts, then you can already have benefits.
Yeah. In finance, like the nice thing with RAGs in finance is that finance is like most of the time it's structured data. Like unless you are very unlucky, you might need to switch data sources.
Financial market data, like exposed market data, the internal data
Yeah.
of a company. Forget about it.
Yeah. You should try to structure to structure your internal data as well.
Yeah.
But like with RAGs, like what's nice is that now you can actually like let the LLM be aware of the schemas and build the query for you as a human would do. Because like most of the time, like if you use like a knowledge graph or a SQL database or like anything like that, but most of the time you use SQL, I guess, in finance. I'm not a finance guy, but I feel like SQL might be a good fit. And
XML.
if the XML?
XML.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. But how do you query the XML? Like,
Well, there are different query languages. There's one, the one we're working with currently is called XBRL, Extensible Business Reporting Language.
Yes.
okay.
So yeah,
I
that's
know.
the query language we use for
Oh, okay.
XML. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if there are a RAG mechanism for that.
There
I
is.
guess
There
that,
is.
yeah,
There is.
yeah. So then it's nice because I guess the LLM is able to write the query for you, and then you can audit the query, make sure it's right, and then it will give you some good results. No?
Yeah. So basically what's the product we built earlier, what it does is XML is basically just a markup language, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is there's this company called Unstructured, that's on unstructured.io.
Oh, I saw that.
They have this very beautiful what do you call it now, parser, all right? But there are some other XBRL parsers, open source, that you can use to parse the XBRL data, that's the XML. And then, yeah, once you're able to parse it, it's just like what you get when you use Beautiful Soup, right? You're able to extract the text away from, yeah. And then so once the text is extracted away from there, and that's one of the things that the RAG does. Once the parser has done all of that, pushes it into the vector database, then you are ready to feed that as RAG, the RAG context for your LLM. So your LLM just goes there and hits the clean, already arranged data. The one we're working with currently tries to parse it in like JSON format. And then we're also trying to work on to see if we can just have a fluent natural language parser. And yeah, so those are the things that we are trying to play around, and we hope we see results around that soon.
Okay.
Cool.
So yeah, this is an interesting topic. I like I'm reading a lot like recently about like knowledge graphs. So
Right.
I stepped up on like Sparkle, like the queries, like it's like SQL but for knowledge graph databases. And I saw some RAGs that doing good stuff like with like the way like it knows the ontology of the knowledge graph, then it's able to find correlation between entities. And then it's very powerful to get like multiple hop answers. So it's able to do joins, etc. And it's very accurate. So I'm definitely, yeah, I think that there is a way in finance to do these kind of things. But yeah, that's very interesting topic. And I think that's the next thing. A lot of people are playing with RAGs, but only like doing basic semantic search and having bad results. But there will be ways soon to have a good result for everyone, I guess.
I guess that the good thing that you're saying here, Max, is like effectively the wrap, and probably that's going to be the topic for our next talk, because we have a topic for the next talk that is tomorrow, I guess, that we want to do on the user feedback and the need for user feedback and the explainability and how we understand that this is good, like the output is good. So I guess that I would love to extend this conversation tomorrow, because we're already way over time, but it was interesting. We drifted into some technicalities that may be interesting to dig in tomorrow, where we can explain like, okay, how do I trust the data? How do I understand where it comes? And there is a very interesting post from Tony Seal, who is working a lot on a graph and everything that show us like what happens behind the hood when you query an LLM, what data is he going to grasp and everything, how it's going to be connected to each other, to the answer that you get. I hope that we can explore that tomorrow a little bit and think about the feedback loop. We can also like go through that and probably go through reinforcement learning with human feedback, but we already talked about it in the previous talks, how we add some layer of humans like constraining the AI. But I guess that's something that I want to prepare for tomorrow for our talk. Think about what we need in terms of user feedback to create trust, basically. How do we create trust? That's the goal. That's what we are talking about for the past 10 minutes, actually. It's like, how do you create this sufficient amount of trust to the data that the LLM is giving you? So
Right.
Let's wrap it up. Thank you so much, guys. It's been a very, very cool conversation. I like the way we extended it to trust and how to use some kind of technologies to extend that. That's also part of the tooling topic. So we didn't go off the rails. So thank you so much. It's been, as usual in this sort of conversation, very insightful for me. I hope for you too. See you tomorrow for the next conversation. And let's keep building knowledge on this AI wonderland. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
See you tomorrow.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you.